Welcome to the Rainmaker Multiplier on Demand, a podcast for leading financial professionals, or rainmakers, and their teams that offer support for securing a successful future. From marketing help to staffing structure, listen and subscribe for actionable insights from advisors and skilled professionals alike.
Hello, everyone. Good morning and Happy New Year. We have a very appropriate topic for getting things started this year, goal setting for 2025. I know many of you might have been a part of the goal setting session that we had back in December's team retreat. Hopefully, a lot of you already have some goals stated for this year. If not, we're going to be covering that a little bit and how to set those right targets for this year. But even if you already had some tips for staying organized, achieving those, and how to check in and hold yourself accountable there. And to accomplish that, we have two very special guest baristas. First off, Gina Pellegrini. Gina is a seasoned mentor and partner with C2P. She is the owner of Pellegrini Team Consulting, who we utilize both at C2P and JL Smith. And she is an associate coach for Strategic Coach. We also have Tony Engrassia. Tony is the founder and owner of Wealth Management Strategies. He's a creator of the Strategic Freedom Process and is a lifetime member and elite top of the table member for $1 Million Roundtable. So we have two very esteemed guests leading us through today's discussion and exercise. We hope to make this very engaging. So please don't be afraid to unmute, ask questions in the chat, or raise your hand as Gina leads us through this today. So that, Gina, I will turn it over to you.
Thanks. Hello, everyone. Happy New Year. First, I just want to throw out there that I think Tony and I have known each other for 15 years, Tony?
At least.
Yeah. It's crazy how our worlds connect and then we part and then we connect again. Tony and I originally met in Strategic Coach, and then I was one of the instrumental individuals to get him into C2P. And he's doing gangbusters, so we definitely want to hear what he has to say today. But we are going to be talking about goals and goals for 2025. I thought before I started, I looked up what the definition is of a goal. It's an idea of the future or desired result that a person or a group of people envision, plan, and commit to. And I think one of the hardest parts to our goals is the true commitment of it. So as Matt said, some of you attended our session in early December, so you might have a good start. And those of you that didn't attend, one of the things we believe in is the team approach as you plan out your 2025. With that said, it's always good to start, I guess is the best way to say it, with the bigger picture in mind. Because yes, we want to have goals for 2025, but I think when we go to the grander vision, and that would be 3 years out, and we know what we want to have happen in 3 years, we can come back to 2025 and start building on that, like baby steps to where you want to be in 2027. So I just want to start with that for a second. If we were sitting here on December 31st, of 2027, and you were looking back over those 3 years, what has to happen both personally and professionally for you to feel happy about your progress? So what I'd like you to do is we're just going to take 90 seconds, and I want you to write down at least 3 years from today, December 31st of 2027, what's your number one personal and professional goal? All right, Charlie, share with me one of your personal and professional 3-year goals.
Take a trip with my wife to celebrate our 10-year wedding anniversary.
Nice. That could be both personal and professional, right? Getting away from the office. Anything else?
Pay off my business debt.
Perfect. Seth, how about yourself?
Would like to basically double the size of what I'm doing today.
Perfect. All right. So I have been doing this for over 20 years. When I say I've been doing it, I always have a 3-year vision, and it doesn't change. And there's different things that are going to happen throughout the years. I don't just build my goals based on that 3-year vision because there's a lot of other things that come up. But sometimes when we look at a big, hairy, audacious goal, and then we come backwards and start figuring out the baby steps, that's what brings us into 2025. So Tony, I'm going to jump to you. How do you and your team go about setting the vision for your bigger future as well as this year?
Yeah, sure. Happy New Year, everybody. It's a new year. It might be the same old stuff. But I think sometimes what we need to look at, and you mentioned earlier, Gina, you said a goal is a desired result, right? And we have to know our why. When you set a goal, it's a lot easier to achieve those when we know why we're heading that direction. It's critical because it helps us create some clarity and direction. For me and my team, goals act as a roadmap. Right? If we have a roadmap, we might all get to the same place, but if you had a roadmap, you'd be able to get there a lot quicker. And then you can measure that progress along the way. I think they also energize you when you see those things, when you're working towards a meaningful goal or something that you want to have done. Without them, to me, I lose focus and it's just not a good thing.
So I know that you were at the event in December. Did your team sit down before that event to talk about goals? Is that where you did your goal planning?
Yeah, no, we had our goals already set for the year. So when we went there, we worked on our marketing plan on how we were going to achieve those goals. So every year we approach it, by looking at that bigger vision. So what we want to do is, again, to create that clarity and direction. So what we do is each and every year we have a 2-day retreat. And what we do is we take a deep dive into our business. We start by revisiting our core mission, our values, our long-term vision. And then what do we want to achieve? So this way everybody's on the same page. And then what we do is we not just work on the business, but also personally. So moving towards that direction.
Yeah, very good. And we don't take a 2-day team retreat. Usually December is a crazy month. But I think it's really imperative that you're sitting down with the whole team and talking about those goals. So how many of you have set your goals for 2025? Let's see a raise of hands for those of you that are on screen. All right, Joe, tell me, what's one of your goals for 2025 and why is that important to you?
The overriding theme is what's important now, the win, and looking at that as a daily and hourly. And we're also carrying that out for the week, the month, the year, and we're also doing it out as 5 years and trying to stay focused on that as our primary objective.
Okay, perfect. Pablo, how about yourself? What's one goal for you?
Happy New Year, everyone.
Happy New Year.
My personal goal is associated with health. And I started a good path in early 2024 and I got derailed in 25, and I'm trying to stick with that and really get to that point where it's just a normal habit for me to embrace. And professionally, I want to have a plan for retirement. And I'm saying that not because I'm planning on retiring, because I don't know if I could, but I want to have a plan for that. My wife will retire in a year and a half. And I want to have a plan on what would that look like, because I have a feeling that I'm going to see her retirement and I might like it a little bit too much. And I at least want to have that plan, whether I'll work another 10, 15, 20 years. But that's my professional goal.
I love that. I love that. Just having a plan for retirement is crucial.
Yeah,
Sure, Gina. And I think Joe and Pablo just mentioned a big thing as far as setting is having, you're going to have roadblocks, and taking pieces and breaking them down. Obstacles are inevitable, but the key is to anticipate them and have a plan. We're all going to run into them, but when you have that plan, you'll be able to go back to them, see what you need to do to move forward.
Allie, I know that you were with us in December and you did some goal setting. Did you get back to the office and work on it with the team?
Yeah, in fact, Andrea, one of our other partners, is on the call today. And so we sat down with all 4 partners. And of course, all 4 partners were also at the conference. And then we had an all-team meeting. So we shared the things that were priorities for us as partners and got input and feedback from other team members, buy-in, and we're trying to work all of the C2P processes and systems. And so we're going to start Monday morning, 9:30 will be the beginning of looking at the different goals and objectives and where are we at and what are we doing to make progress towards them. I think we're on the right track. It's always easy to start off on the right track in January. We made one of our priorities to make sure we do a quarterly meeting so that we don't just do it in January and then lose sight of what was it we were really trying to accomplish. We're going to set some team time aside each quarter.
I think that's awesome. So a couple things that you said and that's going through my mind is one, that the partners set the goals, you shared it with the team, you're going to start embracing it next week, and then you're going to review it quarterly. So one, we usually always have goals as a company. However, I'm a firm believer that each person on the team should have an individual goal. And I like to always say that's going to be a growth goal, because if my team is not growing themselves, I'm not going to be able to grow within my company. Like, I want everyone to level up as I want to level up each year. And we have to be clear as to what leveling up is. And it doesn't have to be this big, hairy, audacious goal, but I do want them to always be thinking how important growth is, not just like I'm going to get one more appointment, something simple. I want them to be thinking about that. So I'm going to throw that out there, that the team members have their own individual goal that still might spearhead what the company goal is. And then the other thing that I think is really important, as Ellie just said, is meeting on a quarterly basis. And one of the things that I would say in that quarterly meeting, if not monthly, because if we sometimes wait for a quarter or 6 months or to the end of the year, we can't go backwards and fix that. And I know that sometimes when we think about meeting on a monthly basis, it seems like we don't have the time. But I'm going to just state that if you're meeting on a monthly basis and you took an hour and you reviewed where you want to be in the quarter, what kind of progress have you made in the 30 days, and what's not working? Because if we figure out what's not working after 30 days and we try to rectify that in the 60 and 90 days, then we're going to hit our quarterly goal. Because I do think that obstacles become the problem of achieving our goals. And if we're not talking through the obstacles, they're just going to continue to ride with us. Matt, anything you want to throw in on meeting on a monthly basis?
No, I would echo what you're sharing there. Our leadership team at both organizations, C2P and JL Smith, have weekly L10 meetings for those who are familiar with EOS, but that's just the level 10 check-in meeting. We all know it's human nature. Just for those of you who might have been at the retreat in December, you meet, you discuss something, and then there might not be a lot of activity until right before the next deadline or the next meeting. And that's when you ramp up and you see a lot of activity right before that. I see a few laughs on there. We all know it's human nature to do that. But that's why if you have the weekly check-in or the monthly check-in, like Gina said, that can keep you on track just to make sure that things are progressing. Otherwise, you get to 2.5 months into a 3-month quarter and you're like, oh, I better get going on this, but you haven't left yourself enough time to catch up. Tony, I see you nodding. I'm sure you've had experience like that.
Yeah, Matt, you said it helps us check our progress. You identify any obstacles and then you just adjust as you need. They're just not looking back, but also being future focused and looking forward. And then also you can celebrate the things that you did win so you don't wait so long. And it just keeps the team fired up, we found.
Yeah, and if you have a simple agenda, it could be like, what has been our biggest win in the month? And then what kind of progress have we made? And do we have any obstacles? And if there's 3 obstacles and you work through one of them, it's just going to spearhead you and having greater growth in the second of your 3 months in the quarter. And speaking of obstacles, what I'd like you to write down is what were your top 2 to 3 obstacles in 2024 in achieving your goals? What were your top 2 obstacles and why? So I'm going to give you 90 seconds again. This is looking back on 2024, your top 2 goal-oriented obstacles and why.
Gina, while people are taking a few seconds to write that down, I'd love to reiterate too what you and Tony just said, because I think I know we are guilty of that too. Forgetting to celebrate the wins along the way. Sometimes it's what didn't we get right, or what can we be doing better? And obviously you have to work on that, but building off the success and the momentum of what's going right. So I think remembering to celebrate the wins along the way.
Yeah, and when I create the agenda for our meetings, I put down wins like team member anniversaries. I do that first for the month, but then things that I've seen, heard, or experienced, and then I have the team do it. I'm always looking for things that I can share with the team about the team because everybody wants me to be able to talk about them. They're leveling up that way. Andrea, what might have been 2 obstacles you faced in 24 and why?
I wrote down not seeing enough prospects, did a lot of reviews, worked a lot with clients, did have some referrals, but not enough. Seeing more prospects.
Okay.
And then we did start a new initiative through the Association of Financial Educators. And that did take a lot of time. And I think underestimating the ramp up time and what it would take to implement that, it is good. It's going to be a good source for us, but just the expectation when we wanted to have that implemented and up and running did not match.
Okay, perfect. Nikki, how about yourself?
I think that it goes back to what Matt said. And he probably was indicating me when he was talking about the gifts. I am a procrastinator, and I have to appreciate that Matt has pushed our team to spread things out. A quarter is not meant to be condensed in a week. So you do not have to get everything done in a week. You have a quarter to do it. So I appreciate that we are using our calendars to do short-term goals, which will help us to reach our long-term goals. I think that's what has helped us. And I think we're going in a really good place, our team is, as far as trying to not procrastinate, do things in advance.
Yeah. And I think it's really important, as you guys just experienced, like asking team members, like, what are the obstacles they're facing and why? Because it doesn't matter if we're the entrepreneur or we're a team member, like any obstacles that we're facing as a group. And when we set the big, hairy, audacious goals 3 years from today, and then we come back and we look at what needs to happen in 2025, and then we're reviewing it if it's weekly, monthly, or quarterly, but we're doing it in some way, shape, or form in one of those 3 options. And I think the more often you do it, the more realistic you are with your goals and therefore achieve them. And then most importantly, everyone needs to speak out. And when I said if you have a meeting at the end of every month and you do an hour and it's just about the wins, the progress, the obstacles, and you get in a habit of doing that, it's going to be dreamy. Your goals are going to come alive and you might actually achieve them in 6 months or 9 months versus dreading getting to the end of the year and not getting there. So I guess the one last question that I do want to ask is, when you get off track with your goals, what are you going to do to get back on track? So I'm going to take 1 minute. If you get off track with your goals, what are you going to do to come back and get on track?
And Gina, I don't know if this is a quick answer or something we can try and address right after that. We did get a question in the chat for you and Tony from Charlie. As a solo practitioner, the why around my company goals are centered around my personal goals. Any advice on how to communicate and get other team members on board with my why?
Okay, wait. So you're a solo entrepreneur, then who are your team members?
Support, administrative.
Support, where are they? Are they your team members?
Yeah.
Support from like the C2P office?
No, my administrative staff.
Okay. So you're not a solo entrepreneur, you have team members.
Yeah, but solo advisor, one solo owner.
Okay. Tony, do you want to go with that first?
One thing I try to do is lead by example, right? What I do is I'll share them my own goals and show them how I'm working towards them. And then what I want them to do is tie their goals to their personal growth. So I'm more interested in them growing as a person and then tying it into the business.
And I think the other thing is, like, I have a big personal why related to my goals. Like, one of mine is how many days I'm going to take off in a year. And I need my team to buy into that with me, because they know if I'm not there, that I'm getting rest. And when I come back, I'm all fired up. And it's not a selfish why, right? I wear everything on my sleeve. I tell them the good, the bad, the different. However, with that said, I want to know an important personal goal for them and why. Because when I know what they're trying to do and I'm asking questions, it goes hand in hand. However, you might feel that these are personal goals for you, like your trip as an example. That might be a personal goal for you, but yet you still have business goals. They're your business goals, but that team is supporting you. Therefore, they should want to know exactly what you're thinking, why you're thinking, and what it is you want to accomplish. And then they need to understand why or how they can make an impact with you. Does that make sense? I think the team, like I always say, the teamwork is the dream work. And because I can't live out my dreams without my team. They make my dreams work. And again, they know everything personally and professionally. Going back to the obstacles, one of mine is staying on track to complete goals, or I change my mind often. But because my team always knows where I want to be, and if I get off track, they even know sometimes how to ask me questions to get me ramped up and excited about it again. So the more they understand the why, the more they understand what your goals are, the easier it is for them to follow suit with you. Tony, anything you want to say?
Yeah, just obstacles are going to happen. There's no question about it. So think of progress, not perfection. Nothing's ever going to be perfect. For me, goals is about becoming the best version of myself so I can better serve my clients, my team, my community. And I just believe that every goal, no matter how big or small, it's going to bring me towards the kind of legacy that I want to leave behind. That's basically how I look at it.
Yep. And one other thing before, Matt, I ask if you have anything in closing, is going back to the obstacle. When I'm feeling frustrated, there's an obstacle in front of me. And I'm not afraid to just sit with it and figure it out and then find a way to work through it. Sometimes I need to talk out loud to somebody. Sometimes I need to write it down in my journal, like I'm trying to get rid of the block. But once you break through whatever that obstacle is, you need to be aware that can be an obstacle that still comes back. Because some of our obstacles are very habitual. And if we're not working through them, we're not going to actually achieve what we want. Matt, any last words from you?
I think that was a great point. It's their team goals, their team challenges too. So addressing everything together and having things, having the plan written down. Like you said, for me, it's not even the plan, just even day to day, like writing things down gets it out of your head. You don't stress over that, and helping to move things forward.
Thank you, everybody, so much for joining us. Happy New Year once again. And this is a great way to start off your year. Take care.
Happy New Year.
Thank you. Happy New Year.
Thanks for tuning in. This podcast was brought to you by C2P, an organization whose purpose is to educate, train, grow, and support holistic financial advisors so families can achieve true prosperity. Never miss an episode by subscribing now to discover new resources and strategies. Visit c2penterprises.com to learn how we can help scale and secure your business. At the time of delivery and any subsequent publishing, information was deemed reliable but is subject to change by the time of listening or viewing. The contents of this piece include options and projections of C2P, are subject to change, and are for informational purposes only. The information provided in this presentation is not intended to be individual investment, tax, or legal advice.